Hello, and welcome to Mrs. Schlecht Explains How to Add Integers. So for this activity, you're going to need a couple of materials to be successful. First, you'll need your math notebook so that you can take great notes. Second, you will need your Envision workbook. And third, a pencil. And fourth, don't forget that positive math attitude. So before we start working through problems, I'd like to turn your attention to the key concepts section on page 24 in your text. So as you're looking over that key concepts box on page 24, you'll notice that it talks about adding integers in two separate situations. The first one is when you have the same sign. So what do I mean by adding integers that have the same sign? Well, let's look at this problem. Now notice the reason that I wrote these in parentheses is so that you knew that that was a negative 12, not minus 12. Same thing. This is a negative 15, not minus 15. So again, these parentheses are just those symbols that we're using to help us organize this problem. So a beautiful thing is that when we are adding integers with the same sign, the answer will have the same sign, and we're simply talking about adding their absolute values. Do you remember the absolute value?
That's just the distance away from zero.
You're right, that's just the distance away from zero. So the absolute value of negative 12 is 12. The absolute value of negative 15 is? That's right, 15. So in this case, all we're going to do first is we're going to add the absolute values, 12 and 15. All right, so we all know that if I add 12 plus 15, I get an answer of 27. But remember, did I start out with a positive 12 and a positive 15? No, I started out with negative numbers. That means then that this 27 is also going to be a negative number. So here is our problem written out. We have negative 12 plus a negative 15 gave us a negative 27. So again, if you're adding with the same sign for your integers, all you need to do is actually add the absolute value of both of those terms and then make sure you give them the same sign. But what if I'm trying to add integers that have different signs? Is that even possible?
Yeah, it's possible.
Of course it's possible, but it's a little bit different. So let's try this problem. We're going to have a positive 18 plus a negative 4. So when we are looking at a problem with a positive and a negative number, the first thing that you do is you're going to find the difference between their absolute values. So the absolute value of 18 is 18. What's the absolute value of negative 4? Just 4. Remember, the absolute value just talks about the distance away from 0 a certain digit is, not if it's on the right or the left side of 0, but just how far away from 0 it is. I'm just going to subtract these two. So what's 18 minus 4? We all know that 18 minus 4 is 14, but I wonder which sign do you think this number would have? Would it be a positive 14 or a negative 14? Well, let's think about this. How many negatives did I have? Only 4. And how many positives did I have? 18. So when you're adding integers with different signs, the way that you determine what sign your answer has is whichever number had the largest absolute value, you'll take that sign. So 18 had a larger absolute value, not because it was a positive number, but because it was 18 spaces away from 0 versus only 4 spots away from 0. So I look at the number that had the largest absolute value. In this case, it was 18. And what sign did that 18 have? A positive. That tells me that I'm going to have a positive 14 as well. So you have that positive 18 plus a negative 4 will give you a positive 14. So again, if you have different signs, then you subtract the absolute value of those terms and you decide which positive or negative sign you're going to assign to your answer based on whichever number had the largest absolute value. So now let's get to some practice problems. The first one that we're going to do is on page 26 in your textbook, and it's number 12. Again, this is problem number 12 on page 26. And it says, Rena's rowboat drifts 23 feet from shore, followed by 9 more feet. The rowboat's current position can be represented by negative 23 plus negative 9. What integer represents the rowboat's location? Well, let's think. we have a negative 23 plus a negative 9. And do you notice? Same sign. So in this problem, you'll notice that it gives us the equation that we're going to need to use. Great. The equation that we're going to need to use is 23 plus a negative 9. Again, I'm using these parentheses to help us stay organized so that my brain remembers this is not minus 9, this is a negative 9 that I'm dealing with. Now, what was the process for adding two integers that have the same sign?
Add the absolute value and then give them the sign.
That's right. I'm just going to add the absolute value of both of those terms. And then since I'm adding two negative numbers, the answer is also going to be a negative number. So let's think first. What's 23 plus 9? Let's see. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So 23 plus 9 is 32. But let's look at our problem. Is that number going to be a negative 32 or a positive 32? It's going to be a negative number because I was adding two integers that have the same sign, a negative. Therefore, their answer, their sum, is also going to be a negative number. So, what integer describes the current location of this rowboat? Well, it's negative 32 feet away from shore. All right, for our next problem, we're going to look at page 26, number 14, and we're just going to work on part A. All right, so again, this is problem 14A on page 26. It says, Kim has $45 to spend for the day at the zoo. She pays $17 for admission, $8 for lunch, and $4 for a snack. So again, that first part is just our information. Kim went to the zoo with $45. She bought some lunch, she bought a ticket to the zoo, and she bought a snack. That's the basic information, right? Then it says, use integers to write an addition expression that represents the amount of money Kim has left. Notice that it tells you to use an addition expression. Now I know subtraction might be kind of easy to think about it. Remember, the question is asking us though to use integers to solve this problem. So what could that look like? Well, let's think. So first, how much money did Kim start with? $45. It says so right here in my problem. Let's think. Is that going to be a positive 45 or a negative $45?
Positive.
It's going to be a positive 45. You're right. So I can write that by $45. Now let's look at the next part. It says that she has to spend $17 for admission. That means tickets in order to get into the zoo. Now, if Kim is going to be paying $17, is that going to be a positive 17 that I'm adding? Or is that going to be a negative 17 that I'm adding?
Negative, because I'm taking the money. I'm taking the money. I'm taking the money. It's negative.
You're right. It's going to be a negative $17 because that money is being taken from her wallet, right? So that Kim is able to enter the zoo. So we would represent that by saying my positive $45 plus negative 17. That will show me how much money she has after she's at least purchased her ticket. But she bought more than just her ticket, right? She also bought lunch and a snack. So let's look at the lunch. She paid $8 for lunch. Now, is that going to be adding $8? Or will that be subtracting $8 from Kim's wallet?
If she's paying something, it's negative. If she's giving someone else money, then it's negative.
You're right. In this case, it would also be plus that negative 8 because it's negative $8 that are coming out of her wallet to pay for her lunch. We can represent that by saying our positive 45 plus our negative $17 plus our negative $8. But wait, there's more. Not only did Kim get a ticket to go into the zoo, an $8 lunch, she also paid $4 for a snack. Now again, is that going to be a positive $4 that Kim gets or a negative $4 that she is giving away for her snack?
Again, remember, she's giving it away, so it's negative. It's coming out of her pocket and it's going to the snack man.
You're right again. It would be negative $4. Here's how we can represent that. We would put our positive 45 plus our negative 17 plus our negative 8. Remember, that's the admission to the zoo plus the lunch plus, now I need to add her snack. So that will be plus that negative $4. This problem one more time. Again, it is asking you to read the information about Kim's stay at the zoo and all of her expenses, and to represent what's happening in the story by using an addition equation. Now, do you notice that even though I'm adding each of these terms, there's a negative sign in each of them? That will be the same as subtracting, but I'm actually going to be adding the negative numbers. And we'll get more into that when we are subtracting integers. All right, and that was Mrs. Schlecht Explains How to Add Integers. If you have any further questions, please reach out.